So my covert narcissistic mother is, she has cirrhosis of the liver, and her liver is failing, along with a multitude of other health issues. But basically, she's dying, and I've been struggling with what I owe her, because you better believe she is coming at me full force, making me feel like I owe her care, like I owe her everything. And I don't owe her shit. I mean, this woman has never cared for me in my life. Every time I've ever gone to the hospital for surgery or for whatever, when I had to go through chemo, like when I've had head traumas, I've had stitches, I've had all kinds of shit happen, some of which was by her hand. And she never showed up at the hospital. She never came to bring me a cup of soup. She's not ever been there for me. And on top of the fact that she has become increasingly like evil, outwardly evil. And a while back, I've gone no contact with her, but the fucking cherry on top is the fact that my stepdad is also dying, and he's like, I don't know, I think the two of them are trying to race each other to the gate, only he'll go one way and she'll go the other way for sure, because let me just slow down here, and I'm gonna point out, like, I don't know, we'll say 5 things, which there are so many evil things that she's done over the past 3 weeks as we've been in and out of the hospital dealing with my stepdad's surgeries for he's got cancer everywhere. It's in his colon, it's in his lungs, it's in his liver, and they keep doing surgeries, they keep ablating it, and yada yada, and she I think is feeling jealous because his cancer is a little more progressive and he's having more surgeries, so the spotlight is not on her right now, and he's the one needing care. So because of that, she's just, I don't know how she's treating everybody else, but she's definitely throwing fireball after fireball at me. For example, the lies. She's telling lies, like she's telling everyone, oh, I messaged Kim. I tried to get a hold of Kim and she won't return my messages, blah, blah, blah. No, I never got a message saying my stepdad went into the hospital at all. I didn't return her messages because I never got any messages. And then I got a nasty message from my aunt telling me I needed to hurry up and return my mother's messages because it was an emergency because of my stepdad, blah, blah, blah. And I'm just like, unfucking believable. So I was the last one to find out he was in the hospital, first of all. And then I kept trying, going along the way, trying to ask how he's doing for updates. And I got one text message that said, well, I don't know, Kim, why don't you come see for yourself? After I'd already been to the hospital. Then she said, made a group text message and said, she had to take my stepdad back down to the hospital because he was having complications from one of his surgeries, so they were headed back down there. And I said, why? I just asked why they were headed to the hospital, and she messaged me back and said, well, you would know. I already told you if you could read. Maybe you need to learn how to read. And I'm just like, okay. And then, she just, it just doesn't stop. So, okay, so then my stepdad had gone through surgery, and he was, they gave him something to knock him out. And so he was in his hospital bed, finally asleep. And she was in there with my uncle and my daughter. And all of a sudden, my mom says to my uncle and my daughter next to the bed of my stepfather that she'll be damned if my stepbrother Gary, which is my stepdad's only child, will get a damn penny. He won't inherit a damn thing if I have anything to do with it. He doesn't deserve any inheritance, and I'll make sure of that. Like, are you serious right now? Like, I mean, that's not my stepdad's wishes. And I don't know why she's lashing out at him, but I can only imagine that, you know, it's a foregone conclusion that I won't be in any will, or I won't be receiving any type of, you know, emotional or momentous inheritance or whatever. I'm sure she's just gonna either gift it all to my sister or go ahead and just like have a fucking jamboree party, and the two of them are just gonna, you know, whittle it down to nothing. And so I've already resided in the fact that I won't be inheriting anything, and I don't expect to inherit anything. But I was like, damn, that's pretty shitty. And then it just goes on and on from there. And I've also like come to terms with the fact that no, there will not be a deathbed apology from her. And ultimately makes me so sad that she'll go where she's going, unfortunately. But she doesn't want to change herself. I mean, but okay, so that brings me to the point here. You know, what do we owe our narcissistic, abusive parents at the end of their lives? This woman left my life when I was 12, almost 13, and she took off with my sister, and I didn't see her for 5 years. I'm telling, like, she's treated me more like a sister than a daughter. Many times I had to be her mother. And the list of shitty things she's done to me, and the hurtful things she's done, and the way she's trying to control the way I grieve for my stepdad is like, I feel like I don't owe her shit. And I keep fighting the guilt of all the years of hearing her say, well, she's your sister, Kim. Like, I owed my sister something just because she was my sister, even though my sister is a whole other fucking can of worms. That little human being is obviously the apple in the tree, the spawn of fucking Satan. Like, I'm talking, they could take the whole DSM-5, mash it together, melt it, and throw that at my sister, and that would be her diagnosis. This bitch is fucking evil and nuts. Anyway, and then also all the years she has said, you know, I'm your mother. You don't talk to me like that. You should respect me, blah, blah, blah. Demanding my respect when she hasn't done a single thing to earn any respect for me. I'm not going to respect somebody that cusses me out, calls me names, lies, tells stories, like makes up some bullshit. Like, oh my gosh. Oh, like, I'm sure I've mentioned this in past recordings, but you know, she tried to like create this huge story that every Christmas my behavior at the family Christmas party is malicious and with evil intent, which is so far from it's ridiculous. It's fucking ridiculous. And so, like, I've spent the past year and a half of my life crying over the loss of the relationship with my mother, but really more more realistically, the fantasy that I held in my brain of a mother that actually loved me and the mother I wanted her to be. I have cried. I have lived in despair. It's been a horrific nightmare. And I've finally come to a place after a year and a half of despair. Mind you, 2 years prior to that, wanting to kill myself. to a place where the tears are dry. The tears don't fall from my eyes for her anymore. And because I'm not at the hospital, and also, I've also mourned and grieved over the loss of my stepfather and several other of the familial relationships. Eventually, the sunshine has to come through the rain clouds, and that's where I'm at. But in the meantime, she's trying to strike up smear campaigns anywhere she possibly can, calling me heartless, soulless, I don't care about anybody but myself, blah, blah, blah. So, I don't know. I would love to hear from anyone in the comments below about your thoughts on what we owe our abusive parents as they're dying. Because this is all just, I'm doing the best I can, but in my mind, I don't owe her anything, even though she is my mother. What do you guys think?